A to the K.
A to the K.
A to the K.
Hello, welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. It's time for Whiskey and Wrestling, Volume 5, baby. 5. I like these segments because we don't have to really plan anything in advance. This is the 5th one.
Unscripted. 2 men, 1 chat.
Didn't know where that was going. Didn't
2 men,
know.
no boundaries. No, I was trying to steal the what was the I don't like this is slightly obscure, I suppose, because I don't know if you were a big fan in the day, but Baddiel and Skinner, comedians, British comedians, for those who don't know, they did Baddiel and Skinner Unplanned, which was the gimmick was 2 men, 1 sofa, no script, and I was going to steal that, but we're not on the same sofa, so there's 2 sofas. There's definitely no script.
2 sofas, no script. I love it.
But yeah, and I always loved the concept of theirs because it was like, I mean, it's brave, isn't it? Really, the comedians they went out there unscripted. I'm sure some element of it was scripted, really, but the plan, the idea is that it's unscripted and they just interact with the audience and see what banter they get out of it. I fucking loved it. I thought it was a great show. Didn't last, so guess I was one of the few who thought that. But hey,
yeah, you can usually tell. You can usually tell on these shows where if it's like, aren't we really funny people, and then the credits come up and it's like written by. It's got like 10 names, and you're like, wait a minute.
Nah, I don't mind David Baddiel, but Frank Skinner I thought was funny as fuck. His chat show was my favourite chat show. Was never a fan of Jonathan Ross, as you know, Carl. Never a fan.
Fucking hated that guy. Almost as much as Darby Allin.
I've actually relented on that a little bit as I've gotten older. I understand why he's in the position he's in the in the chat show, late night chat show world, but I never gelled with his show and his style, so I never watched it. Simple as that, really.
Okay. I was always a bit of a Graham Norton fan, not gonna lie.
Let's face it though. Graham, he's fair play. He's a ledge, but they're all better than James Corden. At least we know that for sure. No offense, America, but there's a reason we exported him to your late night TV shows. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say.
Exchanged them for, but I think it was a fair exchange.
You know what they say. James Corden was a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats.
Whose joke's that? Is that Jimmy Carr?
Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais. Yeah.
He's so fucking savage.
He absolutely hates James Corden.
Actually, people are sharing around on TikTok now the clips of Ricky Gervais's Oscars, not Oscars, was it Oscars? Golden Globes? Whatever. Speeches, because of obviously this is how you offend people, like, because obviously Will Smith slapped Chris Rock for no damn reason. I just absolutely love the one where he said about the movie, was it Bird Box? Was it Bird Box? He says a film where a bunch of people pretend like they can't see anything. Bit like you guys with Harvey Weinstein. It's like, damn, that's so fucking savage.
Yeah, he's definitely on the nose.
It's better executed from him, obviously, but still,
yeah.
It's absolutely fucking savage, man.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais, legend.
Indeed. He's one who's grown on me. As I've gotten older, I appreciate Ricky more and more. I was a bit like, I don't know, but
I just find myself agreeing with everything that he says, really, his entire outlook on life.
Right. Yeah, like it was always him who famously they said about like the fact that he was an atheist, and they tried to come at him over that, and he said, look, like well, you've always often referred to the one less God thing, but I always like when he said about like, why not follow the commandments? Like, you don't have to be religious to go not killing someone is a good idea, and things like that. And it's like, that just makes sense, doesn't it? Like, why are we getting, like, it's actually more concerning when people need a religion as a reason not to kill. You know, other than just being a decent person, you need like a set of rules, or you're gonna go to a bad place. It's like, but is that the reason you're not killing? Like, that's not good.
Yeah, if that's the only thing stopping you, then yeah.
It's concerning.
Bigger problems.
I trust Ricky now more than I trust most religious people.
This is true.
But I don't know how we got onto this. This isn't even wrestling related.
I know. Well, that's what we do on Whiskey and Wrestling, isn't it?
We're wrestling with our feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Will Smith, though. Let's talk about that for no reason.
He's been denounced now, isn't he, by the Academy?
Yeah, they're just making a show of it. He's already quit.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, though, he was quitting before he ended up joining a very exclusive club that included the likes of Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby and so on. Like, yeah, you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in that club.
Don't want to be associated with those guys. I actually saw a video on, I think it was TikTok or Instagram, of something like their marriage is fucked, man. Jada's and Will's.
Oh yeah,
there's
like
like
that Instagram Live. So what you're thinking about?
Yeah, that's it. Where she
Yeah,
basically like just starts filming him, and he's just like, don't film me, like right
I know,
now.
but she's just like, man, eh? And you're like,
I know, yeah.
No, yeah, stop filming him though.
Yeah.
Don't be a cunt.
Yeah, she's
I know you're not allowed to say that these days.
She's a piece of work. Really is.
Yeah, I don't want to bad her, man. She's like pretentious to like a really annoying degree, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's like that, like she's talking about on the red table, she's talking about having an affair. Like, yeah, all right, you can talk about this open relationship. He clearly went on board with it. But she's talking about an entanglement or whatever bollocks, right? And when he's like saying about the whole August situation and did he give him permission, she's like, oh, no man can give. And it's like, yeah, that's the bit to come at. You're your own woman, so you can have an affair if you want to have an affair. That's a really fucking weird point to make. It's like, you can't give permission. It's like, that's not the point he's making. Like,
yeah,
it was permission in the sense of like, he's gone, do you mind if I do your wife? And he's gone, it's fine by me, right? That is whether or not it didn't matter to you, it mattered to August, so the permission was still there. You're just being a cunt. So yeah, that kind of attitude just really pisses me off. Why are we talking about this? Because wrestling, for some reason.
I love it.
No idea. Anyway, so Carl, what's our first jumping off point? Not that we haven't jumped off already. What's our first jumping off point?
It's a really good question, though. I don't know. Close with documents.
I'll tell you.
Oh, the wrestling curve.
The wrestling curve. How
So,
curvy do you like your wrestling?
Oh, fucking love me some curves, me. All these curves, and here's me with no breaks. Jerry the King Lawler line there for you.
Hey.
So, yeah,
Lawler being back on commentary and someone like Nikita being in wrestling, that's just going to totally blow his mind, isn't it?
Recipe for to blow something. It's going to blow. It's going to blow his
I
something.
mentioned Nikita just because hairpin alone is going to just absolutely destroy Lawler. He's not going to be able to talk.
It's just going to be squeaking.
Or he's going to get cancelled.
Just a series of squeaks. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to just kind of talk about the wrestling curve. So obviously, anyone who listens to this or watches us knows that me and Anthony get super psyched around Rumble and Mania season. It's what we spend all our years looking forward to.
It's actually, without being too dramatic, what started this podcast and what got us back into wrestling.
It's true. It is true. We were just kind of like, we kind of faded out of wrestling a little bit. But we always found ourselves. You won't let that go, that guy.
I'm not letting it go.
What about? There's nothing wrong with Rey Mysterio being a world heavyweight champion.
Yeah. Well, did he say heavyweight at the time? Check your records. It might have just been WWE champion. Then it's fine.
Check your records. But yeah, it kind of made me think of like the wrestling curve. Now, we spoke about it over different generations when we've had obviously peaks and troughs of wrestling over the years, but essentially we do have this kind of wrestling enjoyment curve that we have. So end of December, start of the year, we start to really get super hyped for the Rumble, especially to you. Rumble is your number one, isn't it, in terms of premium live event?
Favourite pay-per-view. Never seen a bad Rumble. I've seen Rumbles that were better than other Rumbles, but there's never been a bad one.
Not even this year.
We still had a Rumble, didn't we? No, yeah, this year was fucking awful.
Yeah, this year wasn't good. It's the only Rumble Anthony's ever not been impressed with, I felt, yeah. We kind of looked at each other 5 a.m. in the morning, just like...
This Rumble, though, is the exception rather than the rule. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Excluding this year,
let's hope.
I've never had a bad Rumble.
Let's hope. But yeah, obviously that...
Alright, excluding the last 2 years.
Yeah. See how long we can go, like, do that for, but... Yeah, so obviously we get super hyped, Rumble, all the way up to Mania, and then after Mania, obviously the Raw after Mania is always like must see. But then after that, it kind of dips. Now, we were talking before, so Backlash is coming up, which literally just may as well just rename it to WrestleMania Rematches. That's all it's going to be.
You've already renamed it to WrestleMania Backlash, so might as well.
Exactly. So then, we then used to get a little bit more intrigued around Money in the Bank in June, but that's not been amazing, has it, either, in recent years? And I know, obviously, we've been in a pandemic, so like we had to do it.
Well, I think let's commend the first pandemic one they had, where it was an innovative concept when the idea was to get to the top of the head HQ. That was intriguing. That was a good way of mixing things up and keeping things, separate and cinematic in a way. And then throw away Mysterio to his death. Why not? But I commend them for their effort put into that. But then you get into that typical fucking, Otis breaks the ladder because he's super heavy and shit like that. And then they actually gave Otis the fucking briefcase, which just was disastrously wrong.
Well, I mean, for me, that's become the problem with it now. It's too gimmicky. It's kind of like King of the Ring. King of the Ring used to just be, here's the title we're going to give someone who we believe is going to be going somewhere in the future. Now, like, at some point, the lines are blurred, and whoever wins it has to become a king and talk in a British accent and all that shit, and it's over gimmicked, right? But it's the same Money in the Bank. It's like it used to just be, okay, whoever wins is going to get a future world title opportunity. That's awesome. Now it's all about the fucking briefcase, and it's so much about the briefcase.
Yeah. That's not the thing. Like, exactly. They didn't win a case. There's actually a contract.
Exactly, and it's like it's become a caricature of itself. So, I preferred Money in the Bank when it was just a WrestleMania match.
I don't know how they want to get it off him, but it still really bugs me that it was like, well, let's have the Miz to take it off him in a legal battle. Like, the fuck was that? And let's have JBL be the judge, so it's not a proper legal battle. And let's have him be corrupt and accept money. I
can't think of a better, more recent case of WWE basically just going, we've changed our minds on this than the Otis fiasco.
But again, they should have just abandoned Money in the Bank for that year. I still maintain he should have cashed it in to win the tag titles with his with Tucky at the time. As like isn't that cute? He wants to win with his pal or his brother, was he? I don't know what he was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that have been sweet and a way of eliminating him out of the main title picture?
Do you know what they even could have done?
No, let's do it with the Miz for some reason.
He could have given it to Mandy, and Mandy could have cashed it in for a women's title match. You know what I mean? Something like that. Any of these things could have worked, but no. Let's just let the Miz beat him for no reason.
Let's just have the Miz take it. So you negate the whole point of the Money in the Bank is won, and that person cashes in, unless obviously you do something and the Miz can take it off you in a legal battle that isn't really legal because
exactly.
It was just JBL. Unless JBL, basically, let's ignore the fake courtroom. Unless JBL decides that it should go to the Miz, you definitely have a Money in the Bank title shot, definitely.
Exactly. So obviously June isn't as exciting as it once was anymore, and then again, not really much happens up until SummerSlam, and SummerSlam used to be one of the big things. I think it still is, and it's still I think SummerSlam.
Okay, I'm going to ask you another question.
Cool.
Other than the fact it's considered one of the big four, when was the last big SummerSlam?
I don't think they felt massively big in a while, but I remember enjoying the one from last year. I remember it being one of our favourite ones, if I recall. I could be completely wrong.
The main reason I ask it is because I enjoy SummerSlam. I've enjoyed some pay-per-views, like you say. I think we enjoyed last year in particular. I've never considered SummerSlam a big deal. I know they want it to be the WrestleMania of the summer, but I've never considered it a big deal. And you've obviously had a longer history with wrestling than I have, so that's why I asked the question. When was the last time you remember it being a big deal?
Not
I know we can have good ones, but I can't even think back to high school days where it was SummerSlam. It's a massive deal. We must watch it. I've never felt that way about it, and I know that's a personal thing, but I'm just curious. I don't feel like there's ever been massive things happening there, really.
I think there was bits with Brock versus Rock and Orton and stuff like that, winning his first title and things at SummerSlam. There was big moments that were kind of somewhat recent, but it's not felt like a massive one in a while. But I'd say what's been even worse in terms of fall from grace is Survivor Series.
Oh yeah, that's just nothing of a pay-per-view now, really.
That is it's redundant.
Was it this year's that it was felt so last minute and slapped together that it was just fucking pointless?
It was just a caricature, not a caricature, but just a fucking throwing together random people in teams, and it was just like, there you go, here's your Survivor Series.
I will admit, I was starting to enjoy Survivor Series with the inclusion of NXT, and they went, nah, we're not even having them as a part, and not anything to do with it. Fuck them.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, the problem with the Survivor Series that just went is they just had a fucking draft. So they were trying to preach loyalty to brands, and they'd only been there 2 minutes.
Yeah, like a week.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a really poorly timed draft, that.
Yeah. Like, I think the highlight of Survivor Series for last year was Kevin Owens just walking out at the start of the match.
Yeah, which is the kind of thing you get when no one gives a shit about Survivor Series.
Exactly. So
it's probably I like the concept a great deal, but it's just it's not a very good pay-per-view these days.
No. So, like, you know, talking of it as like a wrestling curve, like, you have this massive kind of hype for Royal Rumble, and it kind of stays up there for Mania. And, like, to be fair, we weren't super hyped for Mania this year, but it over-delivered versus the card. So fair play to them. But then you kind of just have that drop-off, and I think the problem is there's no peaks anymore until Royal Rumble season again. Because, like, the ones that were staple peaks are just...
We're just quietly waiting for Rumble now.
Exactly. So this podcast is going to be a joy for the next few months, is what we're saying. We're going to be so tuned out and sick of it all. The Cody Rhodes redemption arc for fucking 6 months. Yeah.
Promo. Yeah.
Now, the thing is, though, as well, and obviously you sent me a video before of Young Rock.
Yes. What an obvious nod that was.
So, firstly, Roman Reigns is in it, Little Joe.
Little Joe.
Like, there was fantastic bits in that. He says to The Rock, acknowledge me, which I thought was brilliant. But then, obviously, there was a bit in there, wasn't there, where he said, oh, you know, he's like, you know, can you wrestle me? He's like, oh, no, a match of that magnitude.
Was it the Samoan drop or something?
Yeah. And he was like, oh, no, a match of that magnitude can only take place at a WrestleMania. And it was like, oh.
I just winked at the camera, mightn't they?
Exactly. So it's got to be happening. Like, it must be happening, mustn't it? Hollywood, WrestleMania Hollywood. It's going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns.
They'd have decided to put that tease and that nod in there without actually paying it off long term.
But, like,
that would have been so fucking annoying.
Knowing that, is that not just going to be fucking huge? That's going to top Roman versus Brock 1,000,000%, isn't it?
I would say so. Yeah. And Cody's going to have to return again just to make it just as big. Again, you know what I mean? Like, how do you top Cody returning?
Exactly. Undertaker's going to come back out of retirement for a match with Kevin Owens.
I mean, I honestly, I'm totally on board for that. Like, yes, let's do it. Anyone who's got a podcast, Kevin Owens is going to beat them up. That's how it's going to work now.
Oh,
no.
Go
after Kurt Angle.
Does that mean he's going to go after us?
No, he's going to start with wrestlers first. So he's going to go Undertaker, Kurt Angle. He's going to, like, maybe go after Arn Anderson.
Do you know what? Speaking of which, you just reminded me then. What a lovely tweet we saw the other day. So there was somebody, and forgive me, I can't off the top of my head remember the account, but they were doing like a kind of their favourite wrestlers, and they were kind of posting about them. And then little old us got a random tag in there saying...
Yeah, that was sweet.
Not...
The Twitter handle, Carl, was K2B Panda Sidekick.
K2B Panda Sidekick. Absolute legend. We appreciate you. But yeah, like, there was like a Twitter thread of like their favourite wrestlers. And then just a little shout out, like, not a wrestler as such, but our podcast. And stuff like that, you know, hits you right in the feels. I think oftentimes me and Anthony just kind of sit here thinking, are we just talking into the microphone to ourselves? But then you see stuff like this, you see... You know, see us randomly popping up in the charts and things like that every now and again. You're just like, people are out there listening to us. Even during these nonsensical segments like Whiskey and Wrestling, where the wrestling talk's very light. But yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Indeed. So while we were
meanwhile, Anthony sits on his phone for the next 10 minutes.
I was finding the Twitter.
Get off your phone. You found it, and then what were you doing? You were browsing.
If you want to know, Carl, I'll let you all in on the rabbit hole. I was like, oh yeah, there's the tweet, so I could remind myself of his Twitter handle. And then I'm looking at it like, oh, It's saying that it can't bring up any results, so it's like showing it like he's not there. You see?
Mm.
So I'm like, interesting. Anyway, what are we talking about? We're talking about stuff, aren't we?
We're going to talk about
Survivor
stuff.
Series, right? While we're on the topic, I know it was mentioned a few beats back, but one of the things I think that came from our Instagram was the talk of Survivor Series, and is it considered one of the big four anymore? So we might as well delve slightly further into the Survivor Series element of. Firstly, Carl, do you consider it part of the big four anymore?
I haven't done it in a long time, to be honest, because there just hasn't been a purpose for it, because it moved away from here's, the two top babyface and heels making their own teams to go against each other in a way that they don't have to just have a one-on-one match. Like that's the way it used to be. To let's make it about brand supremacy, and then let's throw NXT in for no reason. And then, like as you said, like last year's one was just
I like the NXT inclusion.
There's a random bunch of people.
The brand thing.
Yeah,
but do you think last year is a clear indicator that WWE don't consider it one of the big four anymore?
I think we're just in a point now where WWE doesn't really consider anything until about 2 weeks before it happens, and then goes shit.
Well, like, if you were to not know anything about the concept of the big four, and they said pick the 4 pay-per-views that are the biggest deal, right, in WWE, I honestly think Money in the Bank could come before Survivor Series at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely overshadowed.
WWE treat it as a bigger deal as
even well. Even Elimination Chamber, because there's something on the line. There's something on the line for both of them. Elimination Chamber is usually set up for someone who didn't win the Rumble, who still wants to get to WrestleMania, right?
Elimination Chamber is my exception to. I don't think you should have a pay-per-view named after a match type. That is my exception, because Elimination Chamber is just good fun. It's like Royal Rumble,
yeah.
Shit, Royal Rumble's probably an exception. Do you count that though?
Turns out all of them are. Can't wait for WWE ladder match.
No, I mean Royal Rumble, like it is a Royal Rumble. It's a big old battle royal, but I suppose that's an exception too.
Yeah, but like to be fair, I think we've hit the nail on the head there in terms of why Survivor Series doesn't feel like a big four anymore, because there's nothing at stake. It's literally pointless.
Other than bragging rights, maybe.
Well, they had that pay-per-view for a bit, didn't they? Remember that?
And while we're on it, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it now. We live in an age where concepts like Taboo Tuesday and Cyber Sunday and all that bollocks would actually work really fucking well now, and we don't have it. Why
imagine a Survivor Series that is like the teams are picked by social media.
Right there. This is why you need this guy, WWE.
You know what I mean?
Right there. That's what we need to do.
Do you know what? One of these days I'm going to reveal it
directly like that, like you're there. When really you're up here.
I am, and you're down there. Whoa. But one of these days I've got. Have I already spoiled this before on a previous show? I might have done.
Yes.
I've got this fantastic idea that's never been done before in the wrestling business, and I just think it is so good. But it's like me little secret idea. I can't do it because then it'll be gone. I won't have it anymore.
But you've got the evidence right here. If anyone does it, you can sue the fuck out of them.
Let's just say, I've always liked the idea.
2 girls.
I've always liked the idea of because you get so many mismatches of like different tag teams that don't look like they belong together. I've always liked the idea of like a tag team that like or multiple tag teams that don't look like they belong, and somehow something happens, which is my little thing that makes the teams switch.
This is a shit spoiler.
Well, I don't want to give it away. That's my problem.
So far, you're describing a tornado tag match, I think.
It's $1 million idea, that's what I'm saying.
Look, Ted DiBiase. Unless you're going to tell us, we can't believe you.
Oh, fine, fuck it. Fine. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. So, imagine this, right? Tag team titles on the line. It's a ladder match. Mm-hmm. You've got multiple teams, but there's a really big guy on one team and with a small guy, and another really big guy, another team with a small guy, and the two big guys climbing up the ladder, and basically it turns out they both grab a title each, so by accident they've become the tag team champions.
I get it. And then Adam Pearce comes out and he's like, no, we don't have a winner, you both won.
Well, yeah, but effectively, because there's that many bullshit tag teams together, what if there was like a team that you look at and we're like, oh, imagine if him from that team and him from that team were put together, they'd make a boss tag team. Imagine if that's the way you do it.
I love the idea. I do.
Don't shit on it. Don't you dare shit on my idea. It's
No,
$1 million idea.
What I'm saying is, like, imagine a property like WWE having hold of this idea, and then you end up with like constant like mismatch of tag teams where it's like we now have the Street Vikings and stuff like that, which actually really works as a name. I'll be honest with you. But
all right, so all right then, I'll try and put some names to it, and I'm not saying this would be an amazing tag team, but just something to come to me head now. You've got Alpha Academy, yeah, who are fine,
yes,
but like you look at them, they're like, really, I wouldn't put them together as a team, right? Imagine you had like Chad Gable climbing up the ladder and Gable Stevenson climbing up the ladder the other side, and then all of a sudden they're on two separate teams. Yeah, they both grab a title. Now suddenly you've got Chad Gable and Gable Stevenson as a tag team. And it turns out it was the best pairing that ever happened, out of nowhere. So yeah,
I do like the concept. I think it's something I'm surprised they've not done it before. Like
exactly.
But then, does that become a stipulation in future though, where you go with WWE? Let's say lean into it and go right. From now on, both partners have to get the belts.
Well, exactly.
Like, does that become a thing of the ladder match? That if
that's what's always like
whoever gets the belt is one half, and the other half has to fucking fend for themselves.
Well, exactly, because like. You know, in previous matches like TLC and stuff like that, where this has happened before, like you'll just have the one guy on top who pulls down both the belts for him and his tag team partner. Well, what happens if he only manages to get one belt? Like, what happens to that other belt? Has he won both?
And then you could do a thing. You could also play with it going forward, couldn't you? You could have a similar thing happen again, but he actually screws over his tag partner and doesn't get the other belt, or maybe even kicks his partner off the ladder.
Exactly.
And you get it's like a screw job out of it.
About to celebrate together, but then he does that. The other guy comes up, and then that's the real team.
From the top of the ladder out of nowhere. The end of RK Bro.
See,
Cody goes up and gets the belt.
It's $1 million idea.
The legacy back. You know,
$1 million idea. So yeah. So there you go. There you go, WWE. I know you're gonna listen.
While I mentioned Cody and Randy, come on, that's the feud that we all want. Let's get the Roman stuff out of the way. That's the feud we all want. We want son of a cowboy versus son of a plumber. Damn it.
Yeah, apparently it's already been done, hasn't it? Because that's the same. Again. You know what I mean?
More. Yeah. We've never had the American Nightmare versus Randy Orton.
I love that. He's had that many different monikers in his career. It's like, what do we even call him now? Just Randy Orton. Like, versus the Legend Killer. No, versus the Viper.
What is he currently? And I'm like, he's not.
Is he the Viper? Is he the Viper?
He's currently Randy.
Is he? Oh, look out, Kim.
From out of nowhere.
You just got RKO all over your face. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's the big four now. Got to be SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, and I don't think EC3. I don't think Elimination Chamber should be in there, but Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. That's the big four now, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's been gazumped.
Like my original big four were Rumble, WrestleMania, King of the Ring, and Survivor Series. I never even classed SummerSlam. And I get why
gimmicks that come from it, but I do like me some King of the Ring.
Well, yeah, I just fucking love a tournament bracket. I'm not gonna lie, but I think
we're really good at tournament brackets, and they just don't fucking do them.
I think new generation kind of big four for me is Rumble, Chamber, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania.
There's a new one, the Rumble Chamber.
Oh yeah, imagine that.
Like there's someone over the top rope, but they can't get out because there's a chamber there.
It sounds like something WCW have already done.
Everyone's still here.
So.
Okay, Carl. So the next topic, brand extension. How do you feel about brands, and do you want them extended?
Oh, I love me some extendable brands. So I think anyone who listened to the other segments before, I think the brand extension is dead. It needs to be done with. I just hate it now because they've released that many people that the rosters for each show is very, very threadbare to the point where you have the stupid 24/7 title shtick like every week that no one cares about. It's a 3-hour episode of Raw. You've not got enough talent to fill it anyway. So imagine how much better Monday Night Raw would be if you could bring over Drew McIntyre, you could bring over Roman Reigns. I mean, I'm already struggling to think of all the SmackDown talent you bring over.
And
right?
And there you go.
But like conversely, with SmackDown, it's the Roman Reigns show, and it is every fucking week because there's nothing else going. So,
and I've said before, and I'll say it again, people often tout SmackDown as being the better show, only for Roman. There's not much else going on. You take Roman out of the equation, it's shit.
Imagine, like, wasn't it significantly better when Seth Rollins was rocking up on SmackDown as well as part of that little Roman Reigns thing?
I'm really surprised he's back on Raw. He was definitely better suited on SmackDown.
Exactly. Kevin Owens could pop up.
With his powerbomb.
Powerbomb, I don't know.
For me, that is the key element. I don't want to lose anyone's TV time, but the fact is we keep getting the same matches over and over. We keep getting rematches over and over because they're very limited in the people that they've got on their brand. If it was opened up, then let's say for starters, for the well-being of the wrestlers, they could have some time off.
Imagine.
Not a bad thing, right? But on top of that, you would be able to mix up the matches so much more that we wouldn't be like, another fucking rematch. Charlotte and Ronda again. Jesus. You can actually mix it up a bit. And you can mix it up in a way, because right now you can mix it up a bit, but then you get things like, I don't know, Madcap Moss versus Drew McIntyre, which nobody asked for.
And it's like, the thing is as well, though, like, I'm not shitting on, like, the likes of a Madcap Moss and stuff like that. They've got a place, right? This is what the old school, like...
Yeah, it's called catering.
Hey, that's fucking savage. But no, like, before the whole brand split and stuff, like, the mid card was fantastic. Like the Intercontinental title, the European title at the time, it felt big and it meant something because there was more players involved in being able to compete for them. So, at the minute it's like, well, the US title's on Raw, I think. I don't actually know. And the Intercontinental title's on SmackDown. I do.
There's one thing I don't get. Like, I get, like, obviously it's an American product, but you've got the North American title and you've got the US title. Don't you think it'd sit nicer having the US and then the European?
Well, no, because the Intercontinental needs to remain. So no.
I mean, okay, yeah, we need the IC, but let's face it, I keep forgetting about the IC for a reason.
This is true. But you wouldn't if you had, like, at the minute, and there's no offense to, like, Damian Priest and stuff, I know he's just had the US title run, but it's like, once the US title run comes to an end, it's like, well, he's on Raw, and there's no other belts for him to go for or anything, so I guess he'll just fade into obscurity. It's just like, well, if someone's run comes to an end with the US title, if they're all on the same show, well, I'm going to go after the Intercontinental title then. Or vice versa. And immediately, you've got more competitiveness in your mid-card. That's what it's missing. Like, the only thing we tune into the shows for is, well, what's Roman doing in this segment this week? Or what's Cody doing? Or what's Seth doing? Nothing else
Cody
matters.
being the top baby face of Raw, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Correct me, like, I need to double check this before I make my comments. The Grand Slam, right? Do you have to win both mid-card titles or just one of them? What qualifies as a Grand Slam champ?
I'm not even sure anymore, to be honest. I think it's the main title. I don't think it is, to be fair. I think it's like main title, one of them, tag team, something else. Must be, mustn't it? There's like four or five things you have to win.
I'm gonna have to Google this right quick, because that also opens up a thing of, like, it becomes impossible to become a Grand Slam champ, I think, without moving brands constantly anyway. Yeah, I'm looking at Grand Slam champions. Let's find out what a Grand Slam champion is.
We will sit here and wait patiently while Anthony Googles.
4 titles typically include 3 singles championships, one of them usually being the world title, plus a tag team championship.
Yeah, so three singles titles. So I guess it is Intercontinental, US,
and world.
Well, does it include 24/7?
I mean, arguably they haven't specified, so you could argue if you've had the 24/7 title, you're part of the way there.
But yeah, it is a massive shame how the Intercontinental title, and especially, has been treated. Like, it's not been defended on pay-per-view since the last WrestleMania. That is disgusting. Shocking, that is disgusting.
I know how you feel about it, Carl. Let it go.
I can't do. So yeah, It offends
Put
me.
the title down, Carl.
It offends me. So yeah. But hey, in terms of brand extensions, yeah, I think it needs to be over and done with. I think it would be such a breath of fresh air for WWE. That is all it needs at the minute, because it's such a painful experience to sit through an episode of either Raw or SmackDown at the minute, because there's just the same shit over and over again. So to your point, give somebody a week off. We don't have to see fucking Charlotte Flair every week. We don't have to see.
I said this about the only issue I had with the Roman Reigns feuds was that they felt the need to have them there every week, and it's like some weeks you don't need to.
No,
they can have the week off because their matches are locked. People are going to tune in for it. Don't need to worry about coming out and going, yeah, I'm still going to beat you at the pay-per-view.
Well, that's it. They run out of ideas, and even more so when it's like having a rematch for the next pay-per-view as well. So they've burnt up all this stuff leading to the first one. Then it's like, well, I'm going to avenge me loss. So, Seth Rollins and Cody now. It's like, well, I wasn't ready for you, so now I'll be ready this time. And it's like, that's probably the best of a bad bunch, but still, it's like, well...
And didn't we get that exact excuse with Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch?
Pretty much. Yeah.
So this is Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch all over again, isn't it?
Except for this one. For that one, we didn't get a fucking immediate rematch, did we? So it was like, what are the rules?
Well, true. Went round the houses for it, didn't we?
Yeah. But anyway, I digress. What about you?
So,
do you agree?
We don't want our brands extended. No, I do agree. I think it should be all one roster now, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then I suppose you have to agree, time on each one. Like the big stars have to be on this one X amount of time versus this one because it's two different networks as well. I'm sure there's a mess involved with that, but definitely one roster. That's the way to do it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need no brand extensions.
That we do not.
Next topic, Carl. I actually don't know what this one needs to be. So, Vicky Guerrero.
I think someone was just fucking trolling us, to be fair. So we put it on a...
About it. How do you feel about Vicky Guerrero?
Excuse me. I was talking.
Hey.
See what I did there? See that? Do you know what? To be fair to her, I do think she's super talented at what she does. I don't really get the pairing she's got with Nyla Rose at the minute. Because I'm not really sure what it adds, to be fair.
Nothing.
But
yeah,
if she was, given someone to work with, a client that has more TV time, for example, and we saw Vicky more regularly, I think it would be a really good thing. It wouldn't, probably put her with fucking Andrade or something, because it is English, is still shit. So, get Vicky the instant heel heat.
Well, I mean, didn't he have Chavo at one point, and then Chavo was like, "I'm gonna go to Australia, bye."
And Tony was like, "Well, you're not coming back.
Take you off the roster then and say nothing." Good old Chavo. Anyway,
I think though he rocked up at Ring of Honor, didn't he? So something must be okay there with the relationship.
Yeah, he deleted the tweet as quick as he put it up there. To be honest, I think it was probably a knee jerk, and he's known
It was bots.
He's known for a knee jerk reaction on Twitter, isn't he? Let's be honest.
He is.
But no, I mean, let's go back a little bit on Vicky Guerrero though. I totally admire how she got into the business. I mean, obviously it's a shit way to get into the business, isn't it? But I totally admire her wanting to sort of almost honour the family legacy and be involved in the biz. She had some fucking wild storylines with WWE though.
Oh yeah.
Everything with Edge and stuff like that. It's fucking crazy shit going on.
I think as well, and I don't know what she did for work, whether she worked anyway or whatever. But to be fair, Eddie Guerrero was clearly the breadwinner. He was the WWE champion on massive paycheck. So for all that to go, you know what I mean? It's well, the onus is on her now to provide for her family. So yeah, for her to kind of thrust herself into a world that she's only ever known from the outside, and to take to it as well as she did with just the character that she created is amazing. To be fair,
and she managed to get that heat, didn't she? Really. And the catchphrase. How many wrestlers have just been boring as fuck? She's come in and she got the excuse me thing over in a way. People love to hate her. She did a really admirable job. I'd say some wild fucking storylines, but she did an admirable job there, really.
She definitely she went through it, didn't she? To be fair, like there was a big thing with Edge for a while, wasn't there? Where,
oh yeah, that's
the fuck is that?
the main example of wild storylines was everything with Edge. It's like, I don't know what they were going for there, but they fucking went for it.
I know, but no, I think Vicky's a ledge. She.
I felt really bad for her as well when she interviewed a few AEW people and got kind of blackballed by WWE. That's a bit of a shitty approach. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
During the pandemic, that one.
Well, exactly. But worked out okay in the end. She ended up working for AEW, so fuck them.
Yeah.
But I don't get why they can be so. For considering they don't care about AEW and they're not a threat, why are they so fucking butthurt anytime something happens with that company? It's ridiculous.
No, it's definitely the other way around. AEW people are the worst.
It's the bots. It's all
the
bots.
It's the bots. It's all the bots. Bots getting everyone. But while we're talking about the Guerrero family, though, one thing I want to discuss with you, Carl, is Eddie Guerrero's daughter. Is it Charles Guerrero? Is that how you pronounce her name?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so surprised she's not been prominent on WWE at any point.
It's a weird one, that, isn't it? To be fair, normally they love her. A second, third generation wrestler. So.
And you gotta wonder what the deal is, because by all accounts, I've not seen a lot of her matches because she's mostly an indie talent. But by all accounts, she's a damn good wrestler. So you think, as the bin talks, have they, I don't know if she's ever been involved with WWE. To be honest with you, I'm sure there was points when she was, or there was some sort of, performance center work going on there or something. But yeah, I'm just really surprised we haven't had her as a big deal on any brand.
Maybe it's a personal preference. Maybe she doesn't want to be just associated with her dad. I mean, to be fair to her, it'd be pretty awkward for her to go in there as actually being the daughter of Eddie when you've got Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio making a fucking living off his name. So,
who are you? Who are you, bitch? Yeah. But I mean, she's got the family connection on the other side. You've got Chavo being involved in Ring of Honor. You got her mum being involved in AEW, so you go, well, plenty of places she could be seen on TV, and it's just not something she's done yet.
Well, I was going to say maybe she's going the Emilio Estevez approach, but he actually changed his name to not be associated with the Sheens, so maybe not quite, and she still goes by Guerrero.
So Emilio Estevez was Emilio Sheen?
He's a Sheen, yeah, he is a Sheen, but he didn't want to ride off his dad's name, so there you go.
So he went with Estevez?
Of course, yeah.
What's the connection there? Is that still a family name?
No idea. I
mean, he made a right choice because Emilio doesn't really work with Sheen, assuming that's his real name.
I don't actually think it is. I think he just wanted to create a stage name that distanced himself
from
the Sheens.
The whole Emilio Estevez name is
it's a lie.
Right, I'm googling this now. I don't care. Wrestling or
new segment. Anthony Googles
Emilio Estevez's real name.
But yeah, so I'll
put up the Emilio Estevez image, Carl.
Oh, sorry, I didn't prepare one in advance. But I will rant while you do your Google search. It does proper piss me off now. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio just being fucking everything about Eddie Guerrero, dressing up like him at WrestleMania and stuff like that. Pisses me off. You're the Mysterios. You've got your own name. It is a criminal fucking that Rey is basically just built the latter half of his career on Eddie. Do you know what I mean? It really does me head in.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Not to digress, but I need to go back to this, Carl, right? So check this out, right? Estevez, right? He is the oldest child of Janet Sheen and actor Martin Sheen. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
In brackets, legally, Ramon Estevez.
Okay.
Martin Sheen is the fake name.
Madness.
He's Ramon Estevez. His siblings, Charlie Sheen, born Carlos Estevez.
What?
And Renee Estevez and Ramon Estevez. So he is using apparently his real name, and it's Martin Sheen who's not. And bear in mind, I'm using Wikipedia for this, so it could be wrong. But
I just changed it, you sucker.
Damn you.
Last edit 1 minute ago. So yeah, that's mad. See? Fun and educational, the A2theK Wrestling Show.
Fun, educational.
Not about wrestling, obviously, but, educational nonetheless.
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for Rey Mysterio, though. Yeah, that's right, just jumping straight back in, okay. But I do agree, I hate... It got to a point that I cringe with the Eddie Guerrero references. I hated his whole... This is one of the reasons I didn't like his title run. I mean, I don't think he fitted the world title scene I still stand by that, right? But it's one of the reasons I hated his world title run, because it was constantly like Eddie's helping me up there. It's like, just stop saying Eddie, like, because he was the over one, and just win the title.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you know, I understand they were incredibly close, and I know he wants to honor his friend's memory, but at this point, like you say, it's just like I even just cringe a little bit every time Dominic, who, let's be honest, can barely remember the man, does his little homages to him with the frog splash and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is painful. It genuinely annoys me. It's the stupidest thing ever.
Well, look at it. Like, here's a weird thing. Like, I find it weird anyway. Logan Paul, doing his heel tactics at WrestleMania, to wind them up, did a frog splash.
Yeah.
So he didn't do his father's move and 619 him. He did Eddie Guerrero's frog splash and even did the shoulders. And I was like, that upsets Dominic more, apparently. That's how you get under Dominic's skin more.
That's because it's his real dad. Do you remember?
619.
Eddie's his real dad.
Unless Logan's like, I can't do a 619.
Yeah, probably that, to be fair.
Might have been that.
But yeah, like that is a fantastic point, because basically Eddie's shtick has become so synonymous now with Ray that, of course, it would be an Eddie move that, you know what I mean, that someone would imitate from Ray's moves. It's what?
But now it's gotten so diluted. It's like that. Like, Logan didn't even do that on Ray; he did it on Dominic. So it's like, so now it's associated. We're gonna move it to being associated with Dominic.
Yeah.
As well.
It's like it's like the Cody thing now, isn't it? The fucking son of a plumber. It's like the best friend of the son of the plumber. The hairstylist is the best friend of the son of the plumber. All right, we get it.
We get it. He was a plumber.
He was a plumber, and this is shit. See what I did there?
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. It bugs me a little. I'm sure some people like don't mind it at all, but it does bug me as well, mate. I'm with you on that.
So yeah, that was my rant. Give me rant for you.
Rants. So, tag team wrestling, Carl. Let's talk about tag team wrestling. We kind of touched on this with your awesome concept for moving tag teams around. And we actually touched on this earlier when we were talking this week of wrestling, because we saw some absolutely amazing tag team wrestling this week and some tag team wrestling this week. So, FTR versus the Young Bucks was an absolute masterclass in tag team wrestling. And I have no issue at all with the Usos, but you know, comparatively, it just shows you that WWE's tag team division just really needs. And it's not shot at the Usos. The Usos are probably one of the best things in the tag team division for WWE at the moment, but the severe lack of opponents doesn't help.
No, I think the FTR Bucks match shows what tag team wrestling can be, and I think the problem is, especially in WWE, is they just don't afford the tag team division the time or the focus to make it.
I was pleasantly surprised this week to see a tag team match be in the main event of Raw.
Yeah. To be fair though, right, I was thinking about this because I thought the same initially, and then I was like, well, actually, RK Bro have been the main event of Raw quite a lot, actually.
Has it always been a tag team? Because I know they've done some 6-man main events. I've seen that a few times.
Yeah, so I think it's a mix of like tag team and like 6-mans and stuff, but it also highlighted to me, and I, you know, not to stray away from tag team wrestling, but it highlighted to me the shocking state of Raw, like when Brock was the champ and didn't show up or whatever, and now that Roman's the champ and he's not there. They've got no main event scene, so they have to resort to tag teams to close the show.
That's a fair point. I never looked at it like that, but it's like, we can afford to give tag teams a spotlight because we've just no other champions at the moment.
Well, exactly. So yeah, that in itself was baffling. But yeah, to go back to FTR and Young Bucks, I think that was just a phenomenal display of tag team wrestling. And I think the difference is, in WWE, you've got Street Profits definitely, Alpha Academy maybe. The rest of the tag teams, well, obviously the Usos, the rest of the tag teams are just people thrown together. It's even worse in the women's division because it is like Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Well, they both, you know, seem a bit emo-y and, you know, gothy, so we'll put them together. We won't actually give them a team name, and we'll make them come out separately with separate entrance musics. But yeah.
Yeah. For me, a lack of effort of making them seem like a cohesive team does bug. I was pleasantly surprised with Alpha Academy. Like, I wasn't sure about it at first, but they've gone all in with that, and they're a really good tag team.
They deserve massive
put the shoosh thing over and everything now.
Yeah. like Otis, to be fair, and he was probably more over when he was with, Tucky or whatever. But Gable, man, he's had the worst gimmicks. He was with Jason Jordan. It was just like, okay, yeah, cool. Then he was Shorty G. Then
Shorty G.
He was just Gable, I think. He's basically had a shit run of it, and then obviously he gets this.
Is it just Gable now? Has Vince come for his name yet?
If he hasn't, he will do soon. But yeah, he's the prime example of turning chicken shit to chicken salad. That guy.
Indeed. So yeah, tag team divisions, man. It's always fun. I feel like WWE have kind of got a problem in the sense of like everyone's always going to compare like the golden age of their tag division being like the Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, all in the company at the same time, and it's like you never get that golden age again, and maybe not. Like they're really tough acts to follow.
Well, to be fair, in AEW we've got the Hardy Boys, the Young Bucks, FTR,
Dudley Boys,
amongst others. I mean, we've got Christian.
One half.
So, but I like, to be fair, like AEW have prioritised their tag team division. They've got countless number of tag teams, and all of them feel like tag teams, not just a random pairing. You've got the lesser utilised Private Party, like Top Flight are a thing again now because Darius Martin's back from injury. So, you've got loads of tag teams there that are available, and they're all really, really good. So it makes a difference.
I think AEW, right, just to wind up the audience, could pair Christian and Jericho together for a little bit and literally call them Ledge and Christian.
That's entertainment.
Because they know they piss people off with it. Anyway,
that's good.
So tag team wrestling leaves a lot to be desired, but I love a bit of tag team wrestling. While we're slightly skirting on the topic, though, do you think we're ever going to get trios titles in AEW? They've teased it for a long time. Doesn't seem to ever happen. Do you think it needs to be there as well?
I don't know if it needs to be there. I mean, you've got a lot of factions now, so it would make sense. I know Tony said it won't be a thing till Kenny comes back, which is weird in itself. But okay.
Kenny.
But obviously, you've got House of Black. They would be the ones that jump to mind of being like, okay, they should probably win it. But even in the other factions, you've got the Jericho Appreciation Society. You could have Danny Garcia and 2.0 or whatever they call themselves now. They could be involved. You can't do Jurassic Express. I mean, you could. Christian is the new Marco Stunt.
Weirdly, you can even have the Blackpool Combat Club now.
True.
Made it very clear that he's the new member, haven't they? So
yeah. Got Death Triangle.
Rock on. Death Triangle.
So, there's
a few options there.
Enough teams, but are there enough teams to have matches frequently on the likes of Dynamite and Dark and things like that?
I think this is the thing. I have no issue with the titles. I feel like if they try and make them something that you regularly defend, as stupid as this sounds, that makes it harder. But if they have titles and like that particular faction has those titles for a while, because there are less trios, so you can't have them like a regularly defended thing. We just have to live with the fact that they're going to hold them belts for a bit.
For me, the perfect holders of them belts should be Adam Cole and Red Dragon, because
Redragon.
Well,
they got rid of the other day. I'm pissed off about it. It's Redragon.
Someone referred to them as Red Dragon on Dynamite this week, I think it was. So I was like, it must be Red Dragon.
I don't care what they say. It's spelled Redragon.
Redragon. It's the most Kyle O'Reilly shitty name ever, that, isn't it? Redragon.
Beware dragons. No dragons again.
We've Redragon. So yeah, like it would make sense to give the likes of Adam Cole and them two that kind of title, because obviously Adam Cole, I would like to hope he's not going to beat Hangman Page. Therefore, where's he go next? So something like that, and then obviously you got the Elite, maybe the Young Bucks turn face again with Kenny or something, and have like that kind of thing. Like that could be the launch of the trios title. Maybe that's why Tony says it's not going to happen until Kenny comes back. Maybe that's the plan. Kenny's been the world champion for a bit, so maybe trios is going to be the way.
Kenny's going to get one of them returns, isn't he? Like I haven't felt his absence, if that makes sense. But when he comes back, you're gonna be like, I miss that guy. Actually,
I think we will. To be fair, even Don Callis, I miss a bit. He was just the right level of arsehole, wasn't he? He wasn't like Dan. He wasn't like Dan Lambert, kind of like, oh, this is savage, but also really cringe at the same time. But he was just the guy who popped up, said stuff, and you were like, oh God.
And
but
seriously, what is the relationship with Impact these days?
no idea. Now, talk about tag team wrestling. I believe the Good Brothers contracts are coming up soon for Impact. I do not want them in AEW.
Nope. I want
Just
them to stay the fuck out of my AEW.
I know people fucking love them or whatever, for whatever reason. They are boring, man. They are dull.
They are right place at the right time, guys. I hate to say it, but they cottoned onto the right group, and they're like, we're part of this really cool group. They're the boring ones in the really cool group.
Yeah.
They have the benefit of being mates with entertaining people.
Every group needs some guys to get pinned, and that's where the Good Brothers come in. Yeah, not a fan at all. Don't see it. Never have.
They tried when they were in WWE. They tried to make them a tag team. They tried to be funny by themselves. It didn't work. They need people with charisma like AJ Styles or the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega or whomever is involved or around them. I get it, they're part of the Bullet Club, but they are not the entertaining part of it.
No, like even that thing they do on the side, that Talking Shopper Mania, whatever the fuck it's called, where they do their own little backyard wrestling things. It's like even that is bad. It's like
it is.
Yeah,
it is
weird. So we don't want the Good Brothers. That's what I'm saying. But trios titles, yeah, I could see it. Is it needed? Probably not. If they had it, would it give the very bloated roster of talent stuff to do? Yes. So it could be a good thing.
Yes. Quite.
Indubitably.
So, next one I want to talk about, Carl, is just because it's been blowing up on Twitter. It didn't merit being news, but Control Your Narrative seems to be having a bit of a fucking meh, right? Braun Strowman seems to be damaging his career a little bit. And generally, it's just like more because of social media. I've not seen an episode or whatever they call it of Control Your Narrative. I think the name itself sounds like they might as well call it a chip on your shoulder. Like, it just sounds so fucking like we have a problem with everyone around us, so we're going to do our own thing. Like, fine, I'll do my own promotion. Like, all right, bye. But what do you make of, firstly, Control Your Narrative? Have you heard or seen any of it? Do you read anything about the controversy around having Austin Aries or these I can't remember what he calls it now, this bit where you can all like pay to rant at a wrestler or whatever. What do you make of the concept?
I've seen all the stories. Like, firstly, Create Your Narrative is the shittest name ever for a wrestling promotion.
I think it's Control.
Oh yeah, sorry. Control. See, it's that memorable. I don't even know what it is. Control Your Narrative.
Created their own narrative as well, let's be honest.
This is true. But if they shortened it to CYN, maybe it could be a bit better. But to be fair to them, they've started to assemble a roster of people who I didn't think that, they would get the level of people that they've gotten, I suppose. So, obviously, Adam Scherr, formerly Braun Strowman, they've got EC3. There's another big-ish name in there as well, whose name escapes me. Yeah, he's in there too. I don't think it was him. They've also just signed Sarah Rowe as well.
That was a surprising one.
Yeah. So it is definitely interesting. It's definitely an alternative, if you will. But yeah, I don't think they've fully fleshed out what it is. Like, they haven't fully controlled the narrative. You know what I mean?
It's ironic, that, really.
Because
I feel like I don't know what it is with EC3. Right? He's clearly a talented guy, but he's the one who, like, when I made that reference about having a chip on your shoulder, like, he's the one who he just feels like he's in a mood. Like this whole thing doesn't feel like let's start our promotion. It feels like let's prove a point, and it's like, just relax, man.
Yeah.
Is that just me, or does it just feel like he's just like trying to like I'll show them? It just feels a little bit like that.
So he's basically going down the Cody Rhodes route, isn't he? That's what Cody did when it was AEW. I'm gonna get one over on new WWE. So basically, EC3 is going back to WWE in a couple of a year or two.
Here he first. He's gonna come for that title, that main title that he should have always got. Probably gonna fight Cody for it.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm all for having more promotions because it's more places for wrestlers to apply the trade, make a living. It's all good stuff. Now, politically, I couldn't really give a fuck at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter what your political preferences are. So obviously they're apparently very heavily Republican
Now,
or whatever.
you say that, but they've basically introduced this element of like, I can't remember what he called it now, but essentially, according to EC3, it started out as a space where it was originally just going to be him, and people could pay to, like, he would just sit there and listen to what anyone wanted, direct interaction with the audience, listen to whatever they wanted to say, whatever rant they wanted to have, and then, as I understand it, they signed Austin Aries, and people wanted to speak to Austin. They wanted to directly talk to Austin about some of the issues they had with him and stuff like that. And he said to Austin, "Do you want to do it?" He was like, "Yeah, sound." So then, again, it got to this back and forth. And the idea, which is an admirable one, was that it wasn't like, let's rant at Austin Aries or let Austin Aries talk shit back. It was to open up a conversation and to allow direct interaction with the audience. What do you make of this concept and this space he's offering, where you can pay, as a fan, you can pay to talk to them about whatever?
I mean, it's like a modified version of Cameo, essentially, isn't it? It's, instead of having a little greeting from, one of your favourite wrestlers or whatever, you get to sit there and have a little video chat with them. And, I think they're all aware that a lot of people will do this stuff to just talk smack at them and things. So I think they're very much aware of that. But
you think, like, because they make it sound very, like, they make the whole thing sound very grassroots, and like, we'll have that, it's free form, we'll talk. Do you think that there is a measure of control, or there needs to be a measure of control? Because this is where it could get very political, and you could say something that could get you fucking cancelled. Like, do you think that they either discreetly have a level of control in, or need a level of control in? Like, I get it, you can have an open conversation, but that could lead to a lot of, like, worrying places.
I mean, it depends how they manage it, doesn't
media,
it? If is it recorded and stuff like that, or is it just you can chat to them and it's just like a video chat that can't be recorded? Things
I don't even know. Because I've not seen any of CYN, so I don't even know if it's a video chat or if it's live. Is it a live space?
Who knows?
Well,
yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I'd like to think if we offered that, we wouldn't really cause much offence, or the likelihood of us getting cancelled.
Well, when I refer to it, I'm looking at, like, people like Austin Aries, who has on Twitter quite happily voiced his opinion, which is controversial, let's say, at times. And again, he shouldn't be silenced because of that. But at the same time, you go, well, if he gets into an argument with a fan and that goes a bit, visceral, let's say, is that something that they go, well, look, draw back, be careful what you say? Are they going to end up controlling the narrative in that sense,
Yeah, maybe it's the perfect name for them as a company, because it allows them to do all this crazy shit, and then if they get backlash for it, they can just be like, well, we're controlling our narrative and choosing not to listen to it. But I don't know, at the end of the day, people are paying, like, the type of person who wants to pay money to speak to Austin Aries about anything and everything is likely doing so to have a very potentially uncomfortable conversation. So I think they're going in there fully knowing this. So it depends whether or not it can be recorded and things like that. But I think as a concept, it's a good idea. It's a different level of fan interaction. I mean, WWE charge something like, what is it, like $500 for a minute for you to basically say hi and ask them a question. It's like, well, okay, if you.
But they're really generous. You can buy multiple minutes and compile them all together.
Yeah,
so you can spend 10 grand and speak to them for like half an hour if you want to.
Oh no! It's like you can get 3 minutes maximum or something. I think for the cheap fee of like fucking $2,000. But yeah, I just think ridiculous. I don't know. Fair play to them for having something set up like that, but it does leave them open, doesn't it?
Yeah, and this is where you go. Well, like, it doesn't need to be political, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence they're on in terms of the politics, but I suppose when you're opening up that conversation with the fans, the politics are kind of going to bleed into it, sadly.
Yeah. I mean, it's natural, isn't it? You can't prepare yourself for whatever someone's going to ask you or say to you, so there's a certain amount of risk that you take on when you enable such a feature. So, yeah, I think it depends on what the backlash comes from that in terms of is it stuff that people can share a video afterwards and be like, yeah, here's proof that Braun Strowman said he's a Nazi, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like,
yeah. But speaking of Braun and speaking of the truth, did you see the recent as yesterday, I think, the spat between him and Buff Bagwell, which ended rather quickly and surprisingly amicably?
Yeah, I saw a bit of it yesterday. So essentially, I don't really know how it all started though. So Buff Bagwell,
it was a joke, and it wasn't a very well thought out joke, and he was just sort of having a laugh. I'm going to paraphrase because I can't be asked find it actually. But Buff Bagwell said something along the lines of I've just been signed to control your narrative, and I was like, oh no, sorry, it turns out it was just gas, and it's like, okay, ha ha ha, not the best joke in the world, Buff, if I'm honest. I'm not having a pop, I'm just saying. But Adam Scherr came at him quite aggressively over it, and it turns out Buff didn't know Adam was part of it, but was fair enough, didn't know you were part of it, but you're getting upset about it, and he come at him was saying about in response to not realizing your signs, he was like, oh yeah, you you really wanted to get a picture with me or whatever, so clearly he is a big deal or something. And then Buff was like, I liked Buff's response to this because he was saying about desperately trying to get a picture with Adam, and he's like, oh, my agent told me to get pictures with any fans, blah blah blah, trying to sort of flip the script on him, which I thought was quite funny. But then it just kind of got into this whole spat of Adam was sort of coming at him over his the problems he's had, his drink problems and all this kind of stuff. But then Buff very quickly, I think a fan actually provided it to Buff, but he pointed out that Adam's also been done for being in control of a boat while under the influence, and it just turned into this little spat between the two of them, and then it just randomly ended with Adam Scherr being like, we shouldn't be against each other, and he just kind of was like, yeah, fair enough, let's be in it together, brother, kind of thing. And it's because even to be fair to Adam Scherr, he was a big enough man to say all right, I'll accept that you didn't know I was part of it, but at the same time, we shouldn't be trying to tear, other people, other promotions, or other wrestlers down. And Buff agreed, and they kind of end ways that way. But yeah, it was a weird little spat for a sec there.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised that it ended as amicably as it did. I think, it doesn't need to turn into a massive fucking Twitter beef where you form fucking feuds for life and stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, Adam Scherr is obviously all in, no pun intended, with controlling your narrative. Buff Bagwell took a shot at it. He's very protective of the thing that he very much believes in, it seems. So was a bit offended by that and decided to, been in poor taste, bring up Buff's previous, issues and problems. To which Buff was like, well, okay, you've had similar problems yourself, mate. So Braun's gone, do you know what? I probably shouldn't have done that. At the same time, you shouldn't be doing this. That's just squash it.
Surprisingly mature response to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was surprisingly mature because another recent thing I saw on Twitter with Adam was somebody said to him about control your narrative is based, which turns out is a good thing.
And he was fuming, wasn't he?
With the young speak, and his response was like, "Yeah, I based your mum's back" or something like that. And it's like,
yeah,
the guy had to respond saying it was a compliment, Adam.
Yeah,
was saying it was a good thing, and it's like he just fired back so aggressively, not realizing that it was a compliment, because I wouldn't have either. I don't know what based is. Can't we just say something's good or cool?
We're old now.
But
don't do this kind of talk.
He engaged very quickly, and it's like, relax.
Yeah. I suppose that speaks volumes itself, though, in terms of the amount of flack that Control Your Narrative probably gets, where anytime anyone says anything about it, it's probably negative. So,
well, that's the funny thing. His assumption straight out the gate was it's an insult.
Yeah.
So he's obviously defensive of something he's putting a lot of time and effort into, and some people are loving it, and he just wants to pay him a genuine compliment and got that kind of response. There you go.
Well, exactly.
Relax, dude.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, just if you don't like it, don't watch it, right? I've never understood this whole thing about oh well, I feel this way about it, so I'm gonna bash it for every opportunity I can get. It's fine. There's a million TV shows out there that Anthony. There's a million TV shows out there that I don't like, but I don't then go on Twitter and go, this TV show's awful. I just don't watch the show, right?
That's the thing. And whilst we moan about WWE, we don't dislike WWE, we don't dislike AEW. We love wrestling, and we get frustrated with certain things and we talk about those things, but that's not a dislike. We wouldn't be sat here going like, do you know what? I really hate Big Brother, but I'm going to watch it every week and complain about it. I just don't watch it. It's that easy. So you're right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That being said, what I find interesting with things like Control Your Narrative is I've not watched it. Like we're talking about what we understand of it right now, and some of it might have been off base and some of it might have not been accurate, and someone might want to correct us on that. But I've not watched it, and the question is, what does a new company, a fresh company like this that are trying to do something different, what do they do to draw you in? Like, because I'm getting to a point that I'm like, I'm gonna have to check it out, but then it's like we watch an awful lot of wrestling, particularly you and me, Carl. So it's like, what would be enough to make you go, you know what, I need to check this out. Like I need to prioritize this amongst all the wrestling I watch. I need to prioritize this now. What would they do? Who would they sign to draw you in?
Bray Wyatt.
I like it. So Bray, if Wyndham rocked up on Control Your Narrative, obviously friends with Adam, quite close friends with Adam, and Eric Redbeard's on there. So if he rocked up on Control Your Narrative, that's what would make you go, right, I'm going to have to check this out.
100%. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here first. Bray Wyatt sided with Control Your Narrative.
Yeah, that's going to be the thumbnail. That's what we do.
What we do.
But no, it's one of them. Like to your point, it's a fantastic time for wrestling fans right now. There's never been as much choice and as much high quality choice as well of
so much
things
choice
to watch. And you know, it's one of
honestly,
them.
I would watch NWA a lot more if I had the time. I would watch Impact more if I had the time as well.
Same.
We prioritised our two favourite shows,
and
that's a lot of TV time.
Yeah, it is a struggle. Like it genuinely is. Like obviously, we don't do this as our full time job, so I think a lot of people like look at like podcasts and stuff and think this is all they do. Like this is literally just.
Like, we are in a pool of many wrestling podcasts, and like some of them it is their full time job. Like ones I watch or regularly being like Cultaholic and people like that who I there was a time when I watched Cultaholic to keep up on what was happening in wrestling, and I appreciate that is their day job and they watch every ounce of wrestling and they condense it and they do shows about it. I would love that to be my job, in all fairness. You know, you're Cultaholic if you're listening. I'm gonna ditch you, Carl. I don't care.
Whoa, heel turn right there.
You sign Carl and not me, and then I'm here by myself like, oh.
I'm gonna fucking control your narrative in a minute. That's what I'm saying.
Fucking Cultaholic right there. Anyway, yeah. So people like Cultaholic, like, I'd love to be like, I'd love for us to be in a position where like that's our day job, and I totally admire what they do. But like you say, we haven't got that sort of time to put into every show, which is a real shame because there's some really talented people out there, some really awesome things going on out there that we just haven't got around to.
No.
And it's not even the type of thing you can catch up on. Like, it's kind of dated stuff, isn't it? It's like, well, that happened 2 years ago, so I'm kind of not going to go and watch that now. You know?
Yeah. But we need... there's a guy, and I wish I could credit him. Maybe you know who it is. But someone who puts on, like, YouTube, it's, like, literally Raw in 5 minutes or something. And it is literally... It's 5 minutes long every week, and it is
I don't know that, but I like the idea.
It is literally just a fucking recap of just...
Credit to you, dude. That's a really good way, a really good concept.
If somebody did that for like NWA and Impact, it was like, here's the top talking points, or like, here's the stuff to check out, that would be so helpful. But yeah, indeed. Time is money.
Time is money. Yes, it is.
Speaking of time, has everyone had a good time? Everyone had a good time.
We're all having a good time. We have one more topic before we go, Carl.
And wrestling. No, we don't.
We do. I don't care if you want to go to bed. We need to talk about For the Love of Wrestling too, which we will be attending.
Oh yeah, can't wait for this.
Even more For the Love of Wrestling here than the last one. That's a word.
This is going to be so
we
good.
had the privilege of speaking to Jay from For the Love of Wrestling. We got an idea, a bit of an insight on what's going to be expected. We sadly didn't go to the first one. I fucking wish we did. Undertaker was there. But this is proudly the biggest wrestling convention in Europe. It is, by all accounts, very well organised. And there are many people going, Carl, that we really want to see. So, are you hyped?
I am very hyped. I actually, if you would have told like 12-year-old Carl that like, oh, by the way, you're gonna
Honestly
meet.
Is this
like
current me approaching 12-year-old Carl? Because I don't, I'd probably like that'd come across really weird.
Yeah, we really would actually.
Hey, 12-year-old Carl, do you want to watch a wrestling show? Nah, it's not happening.
Where is it? I don't know
Still in the bed.
I don't know why I'm Mickey Mouse when I'm 12, but still. But
Oh boy!
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, hi everybody! Welcome to the For the Love of Wrestling.
Like, you know what? Get out the van.
I think if you would have told me, like as a kid, oh, by the way, you're gonna meet the likes of Kurt Angle, Trish Stratus, Mickey James, the New Age Outlaws, fucking Ted DiBiase, IRS. You know what I mean? Like people from like staple of
you're
our
in a better
kind of
place now to meet them. 12-year-old Carl would have only really cared about Trish Stratus and Mickey James. I'll be honest with you.
Tori Wilson as well, Victoria. So meeting all of them, and then obviously on top of that, we've got more recent peeps as well, like MJF. Can't fucking wait to be abused by that guy. Can't wait. We've got obviously Adam Scherr that we just spoke about, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt we just spoke about. So yeah, there's
and of course, people that we've come to love. I know you loved a lot of them already, but people we've come to love from the podcast, like the likes of Lanny Poffo and Georgia Smith. Like,
indeed.
Lanny, I'll be big enough to admit, like, you knew a lot of like the genius and leaving Lanny. I was aware of the genius, but I that wasn't really my era of wrestling. But I so want to meet Lanny just because of how much of an awesome guy he was when we chatted to him. And he's just such a funny guy, such a great guy. And like, yeah, I can't wait to meet him just on the back of our podcast. Similar with Georgia, obviously her dad, absolute legend, but she's an absolute sweetheart. Can't wait to meet her as well, you know. So there's things that have come from the podcast. I'm like, I can't wait for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like Mickey James as well. I mean, she does that many that she won't remember us, but it's obviously just.
I mean, I think she's sweet enough that she'll probably pretend she does.
Yeah, of course she will. I'll be like, it's me. I got the number of titles that you won wrong. Remember me?
Of course I do, Steve. Oh,
I would go along with it. It is Steve.
Call me whatever you want.
But obviously, her husband Nick Aldis is going to be there as well. So,
thanks, Nick.
Fun ruined. Jesus. But no, it's and I'm sure there's people that we're meeting.
Sort of local lad.
Yeah. I'm sure there's people that we're missing off as well that we're going to be meeting. But there's so many. It's going to be such a JR. Didn't even mention JR.
My God.
There's going to be so many cool people that's just going to be so surreal to.
Listen, JR, where do we get your barbecue sauce in the UK? That's the question.
Exactly. Come on, we'll sell it for you.
I want to sit down with my Broken Skull IPA and some barbecue sauce, and I can't get either of those things.
Exactly. It's fucked up, that, isn't it, really? To be fair.
Like, if you didn't bring a suitcase full of your barbecue sauce, JR, I'm going to be pissed off.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have to try and get that. Definitely. But no, it's going to be a super fun day. Obviously, we've got all them photo ops with all of them, so we get to meet them, which is amazing. We've got all the different stalls and things like that to just
Firefly
see experience.
Funhouse set.
We've got Q&As, different sets. Firefly Funhouse, Spanish announce table.
Definitely got to get on the announce table.
Loads of shit there. And then obviously we get a free wrestling show included. Eric Redbeard's going to be wrestling on it, as well as potentially others from the lineup.
Potentially others.
Might even see Lizzie there. That'd be good.
Is Lizzie going?
I don't know. But she has worked with Future Shock before. It's in Liverpool.
But she's signed to WWE now, dude.
Well, she might have some
independent that easy anymore.
She's still, using up. I don't really know. So yeah, who knows? But all that included as well. And then depending on how we feel, we might go to the after party as well. But yeah,
the party like an after party.
Indeed. But it's going to be a fun-filled day, and I can't wait to just be there, soak it all in, and hopefully see some, people that we recognise from the social media world. I know obviously.
We chat with a couple who are going, aren't we? So it'd be cool to run into some fellow social medias.
Yeah.
People. Yeah, I'm sure we have a better time for us. But
if anybody, not that we're that big that anyone's going to be listening to this right now and go, "Oh, I absolutely will." But if anyone's listening to this right now and sees us at the event, then definitely say hi, because we are two just normal, approachable guys, and we'll just be like, "Hello."
Just approachable guys. We're not going to be like, we're bigger than. We're not going to act like the Miz.
We're just like you. Like you little insignificant people. That's us. A kid, of course. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. Like, obviously, this is only the second convention that we've really done. We did Wales Comic Con, and that wasn't really wrestling focused as such, but there was wrestlers there, and we did get chatting to a couple of people in the queues and stuff. And me and Anthony are quite introverted anyway. You might be listening to this going, "You guys are podcast hosts. That makes no sense." But we are naturally quite introverted. It's a topic
we got onto with Jay at the time, though, that like some of it is the interaction with fellow fans, because we're all there for the same reason.
Yeah, it's a point you've made before as well, which has always kind of stuck with me. Of like, you go through the trials and tribulations of like primary school and high school, and you get to college, and it's like, hang on a minute, we've all share a fucking interest because we've all chosen what course we want to do, and it's the same when you get to university and things like that. So imagine being in a full,
unlike high school where they go, right, you're all hormonal, and we're going to lock you in a cage. That sounds really extreme, but like
you didn't go to our high school.
I don't know, like American listeners, right? I don't know if you got this with your high schools. It doesn't look it from what we see on TV. We had like a big fence around our high schools because they didn't want you like leaving. So yeah, basically they lock you all in there, and you're all hormonal, and no one really likes each other. That's pretty much high school, right? And
pretty
then
much. Nothing in common, and you're all just sat there in PE or French, looking at each other, going, "This is shit." Yeah. But
I don't like French. Why am I here?
Exactly.
Right? And then suddenly you get a little bit of freedom, and you get to actually study something you want to with college, which is awesome. So
exactly. So the point Jay was making was, obviously there's like how many was it? I keep making this number up. It's thousands of people. I think
75,000 in attendance.
1 million people are going to be there. But it's it's a place that is solely about wrestling. It's a wrestling convention. So everybody who's there has at least one thing in common, that you like wrestling. So I'm looking forward to just, chatting to anybody and everybody. Like, I think I'd like to make more of like just seeing people in the cosplays and things, and even just getting pictures with them and stuff, and just being a bit more outgoing than we were with Wales. Like, Wales was a bit like, it was our first con, and it was quite a drive and stuff, for you in the morning. Anthony as well. It was just very much, we were like there, and we were just like, oof. Okay, we just got some photo ops we're going to get.
FYI, I guess. Carl had a lot of fun that drive. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was singing Barbie Girl at the top of my lungs. It was fun. I had fun. But yeah, I think definitely going to try and make more effort to just see people, speak to people, see people in their cosplays. At the end of the day, everybody, it's a bunch of like-minded people who are all at a convention because we enjoy the world of wrestling.
We won't be cosplaying, just so you know.
No, we're going to cosplay as Carl and Anthony from the A2theK Wrestling Show.
Oh, you're obviously going to go as the masterpiece. I'm not.
You could, though.
I kid.
Definitely could. So another fun-filled episode of Whiskey and Wrestling. And yeah, hopefully we'll see some of you at For the Love of Wrestling. I think it's going to be a fantastic day. We're there on the Saturday, so very excited for that. And yeah. That's it. We did it. Volume 5. Which is a pretty low volume for a whiskey, really. But, here's what it is.
Yes. We're slowly getting up there. Maybe we should connect that. Like, keep getting different strengths of whiskey. So when we get to volume 6, right, we do like 6% volume whiskey and keep going.
Well, I mean, a standard whiskey is 40%, so...
I'm sure we can find some weakest piss whiskey.
Easy breezy.
And then we keep building it up from there.
Yeah.
Well, it could be the amount of volume 100. It's really going to kill us.
It could be the amount of bottles we consume between us.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start with start next time, volume 6. 6 bottles each. But yeah, thanks for sticking around through all the mental conversations that we just had that were just based off absolutely nothing. But yeah, so we will be back next week. We will be talking Backlash predictions, very early Backlash predictions, because after that...
Somebody's travelling.
Hopefully, COVID pending. Hopefully.
COVID pending.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't phrase it like that. I don't want the thing. Yeah. Yeah. Negative test pending. Then I won't be here for the subsequent 2 weeks after next week. So, yeah, the show
negative
will be going on a break, just like Ross and Rich.
Hiatus.
But yeah, until next week, which will be our final show for them. Until a couple weeks down the line.
You should have made more drama out of it. Next week you should have just quit, and then we leave him in suspense.
Oh no, I'm already.
Last week.
You know me.
I'll quit the band.
Now we're back together.
Misunderstanding. He didn't understand.
Anybody who knows me knows that I am a very prepared person. So I'm already there with the graphics.
Nice.
We'll be back soon.
I'm surprised you didn't do like a gone fishing kind of thing.
Well, I thought about that. I originally I'd gone to lunch, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. So that's what we ended up with. But yeah, so we will be back next week for our final week before my vacation, fingers crossed. And then when I'm back from vacation, we'll fill you in on everything that happened For the Love of Wrestling. That's going to be exciting and fun-filled for all. So until next week, here is the video on For the Love of Wrestling. Bye.
For Love of Wrestling, Europe's largest wrestling convention, returns to the Exhibition Centre in Liverpool on the 23rd and 24th of April. Guests this year include Diva of the Decade, Trish Stratus, the Wrestling God, JBL, the Dudley Boys, Torrie Wilson, and just announced MJF from AEW. We will also be doing a Wyatt family reunion as we welcome Eric Rowan, the man formerly known as Braun Strowman, and indeed the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Also just announced is the man, the legend, the icon, Sting, and of course your Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. This and many, many, many more guests, as well as prop builds, Q&As with all of the wrestlers, and some of the biggest wrestling collections in the world on display from our exhibitors. Get your tickets at forloveofwrestling.co.uk or search Facebook or Twitter For the Love of Wrestling. For the Love of Wrestling, Europe's biggest wrestling convention, returns to Liverpool the 23rd and the 24th of April.
Hey everybody, this is Thunder Rosa and you're watching or listening A2theK. A2theK.
A to the K.